Okay, so 2 years ago I made a video called How to Perfect Guard Lies of P, and I definitely think that needs an update. I know my way around. So in simple words, the way you perfect guard is you just go in and parry. Now, okay, there are different layers of complexity to this, and I'm gonna try to get in one by one. So in simple words, the way you perfect guard is you just have to time this button press that is assigned for your perfect guard when the attack lands, just like that. I missed it and I got hit, but if you just time it properly, you successfully do it, which in general means you gotta press the button at the peak of the windup, meaning you gotta press the button when the attack didn't even land. For example, for this attack, you gotta press the button literally when he is at the top of you, but he doesn't know this is gonna happen. Now the first variable, the most fundamental thing that you need to understand about perfect guard is the way it works is different than the way it works in other games like Sekiro, like that. So if you press the perfect guard button, it triggers this animation in 0.1 second, and then it goes into this second position, which is like this, right? Now you need to just connect this position with the when the attack is landing. So what I'm trying to explain is the moment you hit the guard button, it runs a collision check of a duration 0.15 second. So if in that duration the animation collides with the enemy's attack hitbox, then it registers it as a perfect guard.
If your player model overlaps with an active hit detector while you are within those 0.15 seconds, then the game registers a perfect guard.
If a guard succeeds right before being hit, it triggers a perfect guard. You have to connect this position with the incoming attack. I know it sounds super messed up, but that's how it works. So for this case, look at here, I press the button and it triggers the animation and it collides and it registers as a perfect guard. Same with this clip, I ran in, I pressed the button, whoop. That was close, to be fair. So in my opinion, the first and the foremost thing you need to prioritize is you need to feel your weapon. I know it sounds so wrong. It's like, oh, you want to feel your wand?
I know this. It's powerful, but it's not the same. Doesn't quite understand me. Know what I mean?
Now I know I might sound so much delusional here, but no, what I mean by that is, like, whatever weapon you're running with, you gotta feel this animation. Alright, watch this. Frame 0, no button pressed. Frame 1, I press the button. Frame 2, silent. Frame 3, it starts to move. 4, it's moving. 5, it's moving. 6, it's moving. 7, moving. 8, moving. 9, it reaches position B. So after testing the same thing with couple other weapon combinations, what I've realized is at frame 9, after you press the parry button, it gets fully ready to execute a perfect guard, no matter how heavy the blade is. Okay, so before this, in general, my idea was the heavier the blade is in comparison to the handle, or in general, the heavier the blade is, the more time it takes to execute the animation from position A to position B. Like, perfect guard feels a little bit delayed. And I've been just saying, like, okay, that's a little slow. If the blade is heavy, it makes the blade slow, hence the parry becomes a little tight. Just like, in Elden Ring, if you use bigger shield, you have very fewer windows to execute the parry, whether if you run with a buckler parry, you have more frames to work with and you have much more chances. But as you can see, after we did the frame check, it's not. Apparently, it doesn't matter what weapon you use, it lands the parry exactly at the frame 9 after you press the button. So that means two things here. One, I was delusional and I was hallucinating about that, because every time I would use actually a heavy weapon, the parry would feel a little delayed. Frame data says yes, I was wrong about that, but then what is actually happening? That brings us to our second variable here. When I said that, you gotta connect the animation, that means that you gotta connect the hit detector with the incoming attack hitbox, right? Because if you ever have done a guard parry, that's the most crucial thing you need to learn, is you gotta time that to the point that it just connects. It's not about pressing the button at the right time, it's about you need to maintain the distance. If you're like standing here and you wanna do that, it won't. Okay, maybe that just was a little bit lucky. And until my man dropped that video, I really highly recommend you to watch that video, where actually you can see that depending upon what weapon you use, it have its own hit detector. I think so. That's so. In general cases, in optimal situation, it really doesn't matter what weapon you use for perfect guarding. You will always feel the same experience because, for example, let's see, we're using a salamander dagger. It's arguably the most smallest weapon, and if you hold the guard, you can imagine the hit detector being a small cylinder, just covering the whole front of it. So it just will parry everything that come in its way. Now, if you alter this thing up, your hit detector being pushed to the edge of the thing over there in the puppet axe and the tip of that. So in comparison to the salamander dagger right here, now you have a hit detector somewhere here versus you have a hit detector that is extended in front of that. Now imagine green monster attack just crawling to you, or even in the phase 2 when homie would absolutely go car crash mode, right? So to parry it, you need to connect the animation. So the perfect guard timing for the salamander dagger for that car crash attack would be different than the perfect guard timing if you're using a puppet axe. Its hit detector is a little bit front. It would require you to press it earlier than it actually hits. So what are you saying about it? Like, this is just a little bit minor displacement. I mean, well, I don't know. Oh, he actually didn't. Maybe in most cases it's gonna be fine. For me personally, I've had different experiences.
Know what I mean?
So when he's jumping, and if you're using a smaller weapon, you don't have really like much hit detection area. Where if you use a longer weapon, just like that, it holds it up like that. So when they attack landing, you have a hit detector that is holding yourself up. So future crane here, if the attack is landing from the up, and if you're using a long weapon like this, instead of having a hit detector as small as this, when it's landing on you, you will have a bigger one. Look at that. Depending upon which one you use, you might experience different perfect guard timing. So now what I prefer is you press the button as a clean input whenever the thing is landing. For example, is this great? You just have to take a leap of faith. You gotta die. I know this philosophy is so crazy, but the more you die, the faster you learn. So you gotta go there and die couple times. You gotta go through that, and that will help you tremendously in the future. I think I prefer that way. I like the clean input method, so like you will have a great time parrying in the future. Now there's other way the other players use is they just by default they hold this thing, and just before they land they just press the button. You just spam this thing. So I'm holding here. Great. Mine. Okay. Okay, it's not too bad actually, but I think it would get you into a bad habit. Maybe? I don't know. So what I think about the hold input parry method is, if you can get it to work, if it works, it works. There's literally nothing to be complained about. But the reason why I don't personally prefer it, because for the long chain of combos, like the Firefowl of Romeo, or like Luxasia, or like even Arlecchino, if you go with the hold down one, technically by default you're holding it down, and as the attacks Arlecchino does are basically spam, so the Lysopi system might take it as a full spam that you're committing. Then Lysopi have an inbuilt punish system where after you do the first one, there is a cooldown before triggering another input, so that might break your combo, and if the combo breaks, your stance will break, and if your stance breaks, you're basically dead. But again, if you can make it work, if it works for you, it works. Also, it's a good time to mention that there are actually couple attacks which you can spam your way out. For example, the Arlecchino's After Blast spin attack. Or when he does the chainsaw thingy. Or for the green monster's acid spit, as I'm using a longer weapon. There we go. What? Parrying that acid actually staggers him? That's the first thing I've seen. Swear to God. Or in the phase 2 when he goes grab mode. You can spam theoretically. And how can I forget the Marconia's ball spam? Easy stagger farm, one more. This is the perfection build. Bollocks. Okay, so speaking of longer chain combos, I think you're already familiar with the counting method for perfect guard, which is basically the way I perfect guard these longer chain combos. The whole idea is just time the first attack of that whole combo chain and count it as 1, and then you just count every single attack in that combo chain with 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And after you do repeat it couple times, you will memorize the time interval between all these numbers as if you're playing a rhythm game sort of, and those intervals never change. So it helps you to build up a muscle memory or like a sort of subconscious rhythm memory. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, dodge. Also, you can actually troubleshoot it to correct that exact parry you are missing. So you can just count like 1, 2, 3, and then you can remember that, okay, I'm messing up the 4th one. So you just focus on the 4th one, and this is how you do it. I think you know what I mean. So after you land a successful perfect guard, you get pushed back. So for example, the King of Puppet wipe attacks or the Simon Manus attacks, where if you perfect guard every single one, it would push you back from the enemy so you can't attack. In those cases, you should prefer dodges. Like if I parry that, the boss is trying to knock me off. Like dodge, dodge, dodge in. And you just need to dodge once for that. Okay, anyways, enough time. Okay, last but not the least, I want to do some honorable mention about some obscure parries you can actually pull off, which I would probably never be comfortable to pull off. You can actually parry the explosion of the Nameless Puppet in phase 2 when you stagger him, which personally I won't ever do that, but big shout out to Reyes Whitey, amazing guy. That's some skill right there. So I had no idea about this, but you can actually perfect guard the explosion of that Godzilla attack of the Archbishop. I don't know how he pulled it off. I mean, that's Wiki Zerwol, man. He's crazy. Shout out to him. And yeah, also Soul's Nut. My homie can parry the wind. Okay, bro. Alright, so if you're watching this, that means that's the end of the video, and I don't know. Well, I guess that's how you perfect guard, I guess. I'm not sure. I'm not the best guy. I don't know if I'm qualified enough to make a video about it, but thanks so much for watching. This is the end of the video. That's it. I mean, thanks so much for watching. It means a lot to me. Thanks so much for each and everybody who leaves such positive comments. It means a lot. And special thanks to our dear channel member Ricky Zerwol, Chill Level 2572, and Death Rider of the Apocalypse. You guys rock. You guys are legend. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, you know the drill. Good night. Good luck. Keep yourself alive and stay human. Don't be a puppet. Alright. Man, I don't want to record anything. I just want to beat. Okay, maybe I should stream actually. Twitch.tv/electrocrane. I see you there.